Today I'm going to do a product review of the brand new Athearn Genesis SD70 Illinois Central Gulf road number 1021 with sound. This is something that I just picked up at my hobby shop. And I also am going to give an update on my layout situation, and we'll just take a look at, I got a couple, 3 Athearn Genesis Illinois Central 50-foot box cars that came out about a couple months ago. We'll take a look at these box cars quick first. I'm not going to do a full product review video because I don't have a layout set up, and I think you really need to see these cars lined up and in action. But what's interesting about these box cars is they're a repaint of the Missouri Pacific Line's Boxcar. Illinois Central acquired several of these. They repainted them. There's the patch out of the logo, and it now has Illinois Central markings. Athearn also produced the original Missouri Pacific Line boxcar. This one has the Texas Pacific markings on it, but there were several of these on the Missouri line, and again, Illinois Central acquired several of these, repainted them, and marked them for Illinois Central. So when I get my layout back up and running, I'll do a little bit more of a review on these. Athearn produced 3 road numbers for the Illinois Central. I acquired all 3 of them. I'm not 100% sure how many of the Missouri Pacific box cars that they produced. I just got one to just sort of mix in with my freight, so that way it adds a little bit of realism to my layout. Here's a real quick layout update. You can see I've been busy. I've been acquiring a bunch of new turnouts. This is actually only a small portion of what I've acquired. Since the last video, I had to take my layout down because we're finishing our basement. I don't know if you can sort of tell in the background, but the basement has been finished. I'm sitting in my office right now. Train room is going to be in the room across the hall here, and I'm excited about it. I'm switching. My last layout, it was all code 100, and I had a whole bunch of Atlas snap switches from the layout when I was a kid, so a lot of those were 25, 30 years old, and they didn't work the greatest. I had some shorts. The cars and the locomotives just didn't roll smoothly over the turnouts. There was a lot of movement, especially when it hit the point rails. So I've just decided code 83 seems to be the way everybody's going. So I've been getting a bunch of code 83 track, and this is what I'm going to use. So here's the Illinois Central SD70. One of the things that I noticed right away, Athearn actually made a mistake when they printed the labels on these things. They printed them as an SD70M, and they did not, Illinois Central did not acquire any SD70Ms when they ordered these. So somebody at Athearn took some white out and whited them out at my local hobby shop. All of these Illinois Central locomotives, the boxes, somebody took some white out and had done that, so they made a bit of a blunder when they printed the label. Just like everything with Athearn, their Genesis line, it comes with this outer cardboard box sleeve, so we'll go ahead and take this off. Pull the top, and as usual, all of the Athearn paperwork that you'll come to expect. I'm not going to go through that. If you've ever purchased an Athearn locomotive, you know that. These are always really nice, the owner's manual and the sound guide. So this model does have sound on it, so all of the CVs and things will be in here. I haven't had the time to take a look at this yet. All standard. Here's the CVs, so we'll go ahead and take a look at this at a different time when I actually have my layout and my JMRI set up, and I might mess with some of the CVs. Again, as with anything Athearn, very highly professionally packaged, so it has the outer layer. Here's the locomotive itself in the nice blister package. Pull that out. We'll take the outer sleeve off here. So I have this out of the package. What a beautiful locomotive. I took a minute or two just to inspect the handrails, and all of the handrails are intact, which is somewhat rare for Athearn. A lot of times I've had multiple Athearn products come. The handrails look very realistic, but they are very fragile. Sometimes the glue doesn't hold on them. So we'll just do a real quick take a look here. This model is produced, or the prototype is manufactured in 1999-ish, or late 90s, early 2000s. That was before ditch lights were required. You'll see on the back here there's no ditch lights and just the two headlights. And when we get back to the front, you'll see that this model doesn't have ditch lights. It does not have this was before the AAR had the regulations for ditch lights on locomotives. This particular locomotive, 1021, the reason why I got this road number 1021 is because this actually still is in operation, and I have seen this locomotive multiple times here in my hometown. I live in Iowa. Obviously, Iowa was at one point in Illinois Central, main Illinois Central line. We have a fairly large Canadian National Yard here, and this locomotive is still in operation. It's been retrofitted with actual working ditch lights. Here's some of the MU receptacles and things on the nose of it. So just a little bit of an overview. I know it doesn't show, the paint job never really shows real well in the videos. It is a perfect matte black finish, and I know my desk is sort of a mahogany color, so you're sort of getting the reflection off the desk, and it was making it appear a little bit more red, but I can assure you it's perfectly black. In the cab, there's great detail in the cab. I'll try to zoom in, but again, I think with the lighting we're not going to be able to get a whole lot of detail in there. And again, this locomotive, a few things on here. It doesn't have the well, they called it the Canadian safety cab. A lot of them, they just call it the North American comfort cab now. This is before them. Has a very early anti-climber on the front, which was a fairly new innovation for that time. Battery boxes have been moved behind the fireman's side. You can see up top here we have the dynamic brakes fan. Back here we have, here's the turbocharge port. This was the 16-cylinder, EMD 16-cylinder turbocharged engine. It was rated at about 4,000 horsepower. Again, just take a look at some of the details here. Here's what I'm really excited about. It has the Nathan P5 horn. We'll see how good of a job they did with the Soundtracks decoder on that. Again, just a couple real brief close-ups of the tail and the long hood. For the most part, this is compared to some of today's locomotives or the newer SD70s, the SD70Ms, and some of the newer ones that meet the EPA standards. This one doesn't have the flared radiator winglets that a lot of them have now. Again, it doesn't have the safety cab that they all have now. It doesn't have the ditch light, so this is a good representation. About the only thing that I've noticed different about this versus the prototype photos that I've found and the actual prototype that I have seen here locally was at one point the current prototype, the conspicuous markers are now painted yellow. I don't know if there was, somebody can type in the comments if there was a reason why that they had done that, if there was a reason why they made the change from white to yellow. But all of the Illinois Central, if there are still a few of these out there. This is 2016. There's still a few of these out in operation, and they all have the yellow markings on them. So I don't have a layout, so I'm not going to be able to take this for a test spin. What I am going to do is, I did save about 3 foot of track that I have some feeder wires off of, so I'm going to get my DCC system out, and I'm at least going to be able to go through the sound, do a sound check on this for you. Okay, I got my DCC system set up. I apologize for the wires, they're just sort of errant sitting there. So I'm going to go ahead and fire this up and go through the various sounds on this locomotive. F1 is the bell. F2 is the longhorn. F3 is the shorthorn. F4 the dynamic brakes. F5 and F6 are special functions for the light. This locomotive doesn't have any. F7 dims the lights. F8 mutes. And while I have it unmuted, one of the things I'll say, this is a very loud locomotive. I've had other Athearn Genesis, and out of the box I don't believe them to be quite this loud, so once I get my JMRI set back up, I'll go back in and look at some of the settings and see if, I know you can adjust the sound volume on these, but it is very loud. F9 is the release. F10 coupler. And the F11 and F12 are both for steam locomotives. So we'll go ahead and apply a little bit of track power here. Reverse. And then when you cut the track power, it goes through a shutdown. So that's it. Those are the sound features on this locomotive. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment. The manufacturer's suggested retail price on this is $299.99. Again, shop around, go to eBay, check your local hobby stores. I was able to get this much less expensive than $299. So thanks for watching, I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll be back with another layout update soon.